Hi guys, so we're talking stages of behaviour change, and this is a really important one to wrap your head around because you may be struggling in certain aspects that you want to get going, but there might be a few easy wins that we can identify and I suppose build some momentum from. So I'll talk you through it as briefly and quickly as I can, but we're essentially talking about a particular behaviour that you'd like to change, and let's use smoking as an example, that person that wants to quit smoking. We typically start in a pre-contemplative stage. So imagine that person perhaps 3 months ago, 3 years ago when they were smoking without really thinking about giving up. Might be a little hard to imagine in Australia, but in somewhere like France, for example, where it's a little more commonplace, that person is just wandering around, not really thinking about giving up. Then something happens, a moment happens, they just arrive at a space and place where they start to think about giving up. They contemplate the idea of changing their behaviour. Their father might have had a heart attack and they get warned by the doctor that they've got a risk of heart disease because they've been smoking, or they may just be sick of smelly breath. Like whatever the moment is, typically it's a moment associated in moving from pre-contemplative to contemplative, and then we're in this stage where we're thinking about the change. It's going to be there. We know that we want to change the behaviour, but we're not currently changing the behaviour. We've all done this in many cases. Me cleaning my bedroom, making my bed, those things, but I won't mention those. My wife might be listening. Moving from contemplative, we then move into preparation. So this individual who is smoking at the moment, contemplating change, we then start to make the appointment with a psychologist. We ring the quit line. We buy patches. We create appointments with health professionals to help us with the change of behaviour that we're after. We're in preparation mode. We then go into action. Now, the action phase is where we're actually giving up. So this might be going from 1 pack a day down to 3/4, or it might be only smoking of an evening. We're acting in the I suppose the hope that we are going to be giving up smoking. From there, once we eventually break that down and we've given up smoking, we move into what's called a maintenance phase. Now, the maintenance phase is where we're no longer smoking. However, we can quickly fall back into what's called relapse. And this is very normal in health. We know that smoker who has given up is highly likely to relapse. It's not something to feel guilty about because we quickly can fall back into prep mode and then get back into action and maintenance. It's not something to feel guilty and bad about. It's something to recognize is probably a part of most loops of behavior change. Now, you may be listening to this going, what is this guy talking about smoking? But my direction from here is, number one, pick the behavior that you are most likely to succeed in. So in a program that I work through, developed over a number of years, we start with hydration. It's not too difficult to pick up a water bottle and have a sip. You might need to hit 2 litres per day. That might be the challenge, to hit 2 litres per day, but it's not difficult to pick up a water bottle and have a sip. That might be where we start. We might get into preparation and buy the water bottle, then we're into action very quickly. But what we do by starting with hydration is we enable that individual to suddenly go from, I need to be healthy and I need to be running and I need to be doing marathons and oh my God, look at the guy next door, to action mode and enabling them to build momentum within their own sort of health context. We then, from hydration, move into eating breakfast daily. What does that look like for you? So it's just small steps, and I think one of the things that this model does really well for us is it gives us a roadmap to go, well, at the moment, running a marathon is probably a little bit too far-fetched. But going for a walk, that's within my realm. I can quickly move from contemplation into preparation, put the shoes on, and then I can get into action. So pick the behavior that's easiest for you to sort of start. Number two, how are we going to get into action? Who do we need on board to do it? And then number three, don't judge. If you're a supporter of that individual that's trying to give up smoking or is having another weight loss attempt or is trying another diet, the biggest and most important part of this whole thing is that the individual moves themselves through this stage, not be pulled and prodded and pushed by someone to move through the phases too quickly. Because when we get into this maintenance phase, if we've dragged someone along the whole way through this, relapse is more likely to happen and they're not going to be empowered to start again. Hope that helps, guys. Give it a go. Let me know what your behaviour is.